Pretty normal couple with normal struggles that everyday people have. We wanted to just share the hope that we hold on to in Christ Jesus that lets us get through the highs and lows.
And seeing, okay, what do I want to share and how real do I want to get? And a lot of them see just broader scope of our lives and don't actually get into our everyday lives. And they think that everything is always perfect, that we have the easiest lives in the world. And
hey you guys, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It's Friday, September 2nd. I have been so busy this week. I have been trying to expand what we're covering over on Instagram and on my Facebook, and trying to dig into all kinds of different stories. I've been getting so many messages from you, people in Bentonville, related to a story out of Bentonville at First Baptist. I've been hearing from people that go to Village Church down in Texas. This afternoon, I got a message about another pastor out in North Carolina. I'm getting so many details about so many different pastors doing not so great things. And if you just bear with me, I'll try to dig into some of these stories more. I just posted one about a shocking confession by a pastor in Mississippi, so check out my Instagram for information on that. Right now, what we're going to talk about is Jeremy and Ginger's book. So last week, I gave this book a 1 out of 5 stars in my review because of their undertones and just poor grammar, badly written. It just seemed very tone deaf, okay? And I surprisingly had a little bit of backlash from that video. Some of you just thought, I like this book, you're being too hard on them, how dare you not support them? And I just want to say something. I was not at all, I gave Hope We Hold a very fair review. There were aspects of the book I did not like, and there were other parts of the book that I enjoyed, and I read chapters to it from you. Just because Jeremy and Ginger are connected to something doesn't mean that I'm gonna automatically hate it. This book just had such glaringly obvious problems that I felt like if I didn't address it, people in my comments would see the book and know. So it was important for me to be honest. I will always give an honest review regardless of who the person is. And when it comes to the book, The Hope We Hold, I think they did a decent job. They had a good ghostwriter for that, and they told a good story of their love story. With this, it just didn't resonate with me. If you liked it, that's wonderful. Now, the backlash that they're getting on social media and on Amazon is intense. And I am apparently not the only one that has purchased the book and been disappointed. I'm not the only one that noticed some of these undertones, and they are getting slammed in the reviews on Amazon. In fact, they're sitting at a 2.5 out of 5 stars for this book. And people are accusing them of being tone deaf and racist and saying that their book is ableist. So the book is currently for sale on Amazon. It is selling for $16.19. The reviews are running the gamut, but just to give you sort of an understanding, it's sitting at 2.5 out of 5 stars. Out of 60 ratings, 55% of them are a 1 star. So there has been top reviews, which is like a 4 stars. But a lot of people are saying that there's other books that are better than this book for Fruits of the Spirit. Just to give you an understanding of someone who is a Christian, this is what this woman said. As a Christian stay-at-home mother and an avid reader, I am constantly looking for books to add to my son's admittedly large collection of books. This includes children Bibles and other board and picture books about God's love. Unfortunately, while this book appeared to be another adorable way to read to my child while teaching him about God's fruit of the Spirit, it is a wolf in a cute dust jacket. I am not comfortable using this book with my 2-year-old son as it presents racist and ableist undertones I found particularly unsettling in the realm of Christian children's literature. That is coming from a mom who buys Christian books and who's saying, like, this was not a book I was going to buy because of these issues. This person says they saw the book at the bookstore and said, I read this book at a bookstore after reading the reviews and I concur. I wanted to support Jinger after what she had to endure with her brother and in the spotlight. But oh my God, why didn't someone read this book before it was published? The way they demean people with different abilities and make the only child of color the villain is astounding. And who was so blind as to not see this as a problem? This is a book that should immediately be taken off shelves and recycled. So this was someone that wanted to support Jinger, did not like the book. Someone had took issue with the actual story and said there is no story in this book, just awkwardly written verses. Racist, beautiful illustrations do not make up for the flaws. What in the actual earth? The dark-skinned girl, of course, she's the one to steal. The premise was okay, but I can't for the life of me figure out how this book passed editing with the blatant racism and ableism. I sat there stunned when I reached the last page, when I handed it to my husband to see what he thought of without saying a word. He looked at me and he finished it and he said, is this some kind of KKK indoctrination for children or what? This went straight into the trash. I usually donate books to the Goodwill, but not this garbage. I don't want some innocent child in a wheelchair or a non-white kid to get this and feel awful about themselves. I won't even line my parrot's cage with this, even though it's worthy of being crapped on. I'm in absolute shock. What on earth? Someone said this, wow, okay, way to portray the black child for the only 2 negative emotions and actions in the book, lonely and thievery. And the child with a disability is an afterthought and told God will even love them too. Oh, gee, thanks. Why wouldn't he? Why would that need to be pointed out? The whole publishing system failed here. What a horrible book and message to children. There are so many children's books that promote inclusion and love while also sending a chosen religious message. Don't waste your money on this one. Someone also said this story is very privileged and smacks of a savior complex. I didn't want to believe the hype, but honestly, there were a lot more programs and books out there to teach your kid about the right things to do and to make yourself shine brightly. Watch YouTube Mr. Rogers episodes, watch Sesame Street. Literally do anything but read this book to your child. I was shocked at the messages sent. This person said, I was gifted this book and after reading it, I threw it in the garbage. Showing a little girl of color stealing a balloon, saying that the child who has a disability is loved by God too. I will never read this book to my grandchildren. This is not the message I want to give to my grandchildren. So when she posted this on her Instagram, her comments were also equally as frustrated. People were offended by like her grammatical errors in the title. The title is You Can Shine So Bright. But the actual term and word proper use of it would be you can shine so brightly. Brightly is an adjective of the noun you, brightly. So brightly would be the right word, and you can shine so bright isn't correct grammar. So people were upset with that, and like, why would that even be on the title? This person said, I have to be honest and say I didn't like how special needs children were portrayed. It seemed like they were an afterthought, just my opinion. Someone else said, thank you. I 100% agree. I would never buy this book because of that page. Same here. Right. And why was the little black girl stealing and the white girl a perfect angel? Agreed, but what can you expect from her? Someone said this, I know these two probably used a ghostwriter, but this is awful. If they wrote it themselves, they should not claim it. The boy of color is picking up trash. The other person of color is stealing. The white girl is shown saving a black girl from being lonely. How can anyone write a story for kids that shows a child with a disability and the moral of that child's story is he loves you too more than you know? The author is very oblivious or obviously wrote this only for white, able-bodied, evangelical Christian children. I think a lot of people wanted to support her and wanted to assume the best for her. Like, I don't think that people assume like, oh, Ginger's going to go out and write a book like this, because I think, for the longest time, there's always been these undercurrents about, the ATI and the curriculum is inherently racist. And a lot of families that got involved in it were inherently racist. And not to say every family that was involved was, but if you look at the wisdom books, it's clear how they feel about people of color. I mean, Bill Gothard wrote a letter defending the Civil War, saying that the South should have won and that slaves just did not accept their place in society. That was the gist of his doctrine, of his beliefs about slavery. If that tells you anything about like the deep indoctrination these kids have gone through, I don't know what else would. Given that Ginger and Jeremy now live in California in a very diverse area, I can understand their desire to want to expand their understanding or their, world view. But I think before you write a book about that's supporting and demonstrating inclusion, I think it's really important that you really get a review from someone. I mean, the hard part is a lot of you said, well, the person that drew this is the one responsible for it, or it's the editor that's responsible for this. But I don't think that this is a huge publishing company. This isn't like, I think the authors have a pretty big role in a part of this. And this is a fail by all people. The writers who poorly wrote it, the illustrator who chose to draw pictures that were not properly received, and the publisher who had the full editorial like scope here and missed all of these cues. So it's a fail all around, and we can't just take away Ginger and Jeremy's writing and their name on it because they didn't draw the pictures. The illustrator in this book is not going to be the one that's remembered. It's going to be Ginger and Jeremy that will be remembered for this book, unfortunately. So that's kind of how this goes. And even if the illustrator is a woman of color, she clearly, she might not have had as much control about what it was that she was drawing. She might have been given directions on what she needed to draw. I don't know how the collaboration here worked. Some illustrators have a lot of control, others do not. It depends on the publisher, but this is a fail all around. So the reviews are tanking. All I can say is it's totally fair to give criticism to someone. Don't send hate to them. Don't be hateful to them. Even if you don't like it, and it's fine, again, to have tasteful criticism, don't give them hate messages, though. That's the only thing. Like, let's not combat what we perceive to be a tone-deaf book with hate towards them. That's all I'd ask of you guys. Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye, guys.